Was everybody here at the Drug Free Coalition meeting? You were, so he counts, right?
Thank you.
Who did you invite? And he's not here, right? Okay. So I was figuring that everybody basically knew what was going on, so this is gonna be really quick, and that's why I thought it's not even going to be a full hour that we'll be here. There's Amy. Thanks for joining us. So, basically, we're just gonna walk through, a couple of different things, basically, because of we're doing it instead of a, Qualtrics, it's gonna be the Civic Plus application. Oh, wrong way. Let's try it again. And we all know about the 3 different areas, and the problem statements that you're going to be working from they're going to be those problem statements. But the 3 different areas, I didn't know if you guys needed more information on those 3 different areas. You can go to our website, or you can also go to the state website, the ICGR website, to get more details on what those 3 different areas talk about, how to fit your project into one of those categories. I'm sorry, I'm just so flustered today. I don't know why. So the Tippecanoe Drug Free Coalition has those 3 areas, and we've identified these 3 problems, and there's at least 2 goals, and that's the paper you have in front of you. So you want to make sure that your program is going to fit into one of those statements and goals. That's going to be your whole purpose for this grant. So using the Civics Plus, it should be pretty easy. If anybody have gone to our website to try to figure it out yet? Okay, well, pretty much you go to the tippecanoe.in.gov website, and up at the top, you're going to want to sign into the website because you're going to create a login so that you can get access to the form. You recommend to put it on a computer, and the application does save as you progress through the problem. So you can sign in, creating an account, which would be this login here. You're creating an account, or you can sign in using your Facebook page, Google Docs, or any of those other documents there. And then that form will show up so that you can create your sign in.
And 2 people work on
One application. That's a great question. I don't know. I would say, I don't know if at the same time.
Okay.
But I will check on that and see how that happens. You want us to help to get the IT and say anything? That's a great question.
I have a question.
Yes.
So in going through the list of questions on there, for one organization, question A breaks down all the problem statements. So if we want to do multiple grant requests, you have to do those separately.
We're gonna get to that, but that's okay. If you have one program that's specifically for these projects and these goals, these statements and these goals, that's one grant. If you have more than one program, you're gonna do different grants. And I will send you the slides to this so that you have a PDF, so that you can click on the links. That's how you take a picture of that. It'll make you, we're gonna send you slides to this. We'll send you that document, and we'll also send you the link to the ICGI so that you can, and we'll send you some other stuff too. So I think I have your email from the meeting the other night, but I think everybody else's email I've got as well too. So anyways, once you get to, it'll come up and it'll say, you're gonna look for, possibly in this forms here, you're gonna look for 2526 RFA DFC, and then it'll start the whole application. You want to click on this save progress every 15 to 30 minutes so that you do get to save it so you can come back to it. And we're going to check and see if we can get 2 people on there at one time. So when you go through the whole question, you're going to have places where you're going to fill in a blank. This up here, though, towards the end of it, you're going to submit letters of recommendations or support letters of support. Or if you have the budget's going to be uploaded as well. And if you have equipment, you have to submit quotes, which we'll get to later, but those all have to be in a single document. So if you've got more than one letter of support, you want to put them all in one PDF and then upload it as one document. So remember that. And then there's some checks, buttons, you have one or the other, and then there's most of them are going to be fill in the blanks. And that's where I suggest you work in a Word document and copy and paste over into this document. So at the bottom, after you've uploaded everything, you're going to click that you can that you confirm that you have reread the application, because you're gonna reread it quite a few times. And you're gonna submit an email address where you want that confirmation to send to, and then you click this to submit. So it's pretty easy on that part of it, how you do that. So now we're up to Miss Amanda's gonna show us how to do SMART goals. Oh, no, I didn't change it,
Oh, okay.
but I can. I mean, you
It's
are reading
okay.
to.
We'll just.
No.
Actually, how many of you were here last year? Okay, so only.
We'll read it, the new one.
It's fine.
Okay.
Okay, so how many of you have written SMART goals before? All right.
Look,
Easy. So specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So we're just going to do a real easy practice. And since most of you weren't here last time, we'll just use the same question. So you're gonna, what you're trying to accomplish, the quantity. So making sure that that goal is measurable. So if you're trying to help 10 families get into a program, that would, you know, your measurable would be the 10. Oh, did you already hear?
sorry, I can go back.
It's okay. Achievable, make sure that your goal is achievable, right? Not we're trying to get 1,000 families in 2 weeks into this program. That's not achievable. Relevant, make sure that it pertains to the problem statements and goals of the Drug-Free Coalition. And time bound, make sure that you put, you know, is it going to happen in 6 months, or is it going to happen in a year, or is it going to happen in a 5-year plan? So whatever your time crunch is, make sure you put that in there. So use what?
I can flip? Sure can.
Okay, so the problem statement that we used last year, this has nothing to do with the drug-free coalition, so that nobody could cheat and I already have some kind of answer. So the Asian carp population in the Wabash River is out of control, and citizens enjoying the river can no longer do so without the risk of injury. So you would pick a program or what you would do and write a SMART goal for that. So just take like, and you guys, well, I'm not going to make you go into groups or whatever, unless you want to work with partners, you can. But we'll just give you like
2 minutes.
2. We're just gonna go around and see what people came up with. It was funny to see what people came up with last year. There were some good, I was like, oh, I did not
Do you
go
want to
that,
put it over there?
that much into detail. So I'll show you mine. And I'm able to cheat because I'm the one that wrote questions. So mine was to hold a biannual fishing tournament specifically for Asian carp, awarding the top 3 teams with prizes, reducing the population by hundreds. So that was my goal to do the reducing. So you can, the time would be the biannual. So it doesn't always have to be
In that order.
within 1 year, or it doesn't always have to be. So this was your time.
We can use a different color.
Specifically. Sorry, so time. And then specifically the fishing tournaments specifically for a.
That's your measurable.
My measurable was reducing by hundreds. Achievable, this is achievable. I would say holding a my fishing tournament is achievable. Because I know that they do this already, so, and relevant, because that's their federal statement. They hold these fishing tournaments all the time, so I knew that that was achievable. Now, how do I hold a fishing tournament, 3 times a week? That's probably not achievable. And pay lots of money. So, a biannual, that's pretty achievable, so. This is kind of what we're looking for when it comes to the problem statements that your Free Coalition came out. Does anybody want to share? I'm not going to make you all go around. Does anybody want to share? Okay.
The Department of Natural Resources will reduce the Wabash River of Asian carp by 10% within 5 years.
What are they gonna do? How are they gonna do that?
To be
So you could put like, they're gonna put an electric current fence, right? And so if you had that in there, like they're going to put like an electric net in, that would shock this Asian carp. That would be one thing. Asian carp are really, yeah, they're bad and they will injure you. You're in a boat. You,
Yeah, mine's pretty much the same as yours, except the value hunter. $5 per bed produced population, 5,000 fish by the end of 20.
Oh,
all right. Okay, so you guys can kind of see the measurable. You've all written SMART goals before, so I'm not worried at all. If you guys have questions, make sure that you email Rebecca and she'll reach out to one of us if you guys are needing help with that SMART goal part. Always one sentence. It can be more than one sentence. Yeah.
but the simpler the better.
Yeah.
You shouldn't make it hard on yourself because,
Don't try to write an entire paragraph.
and that's the thing is that you're going to refer back to this problem, the SMART goals throughout the entire life of the grant. Because quarterly you have to report back to the DFC and tell them what you're doing is how far you're doing your SMART goals. That's
Okay.
right.
One that would be for drug-free coalition specific would be like reduce OWI incidents by 2% in 2025 by having more traffic just for what do you call that? Targeted traffic, what do you call when you have a specific program, you guys do emails, what is that called? When you do a specific operation, yeah, so like a specific operation, so it would be something as easy as that. So you don't try to write a whole entire paragraph, and if you're needing help with that, just reach out and we will help you kind of just get that down and
So when you look at this page that talks about the statement and the goals, you're not going to have this goal like on the first one, the problem statement one with goal one. This is for the drug-free coalition to have a minimum attendance of 500 people. That's not going to be your goal. But if that's the program you want to specifically say, you can say a minimum of 10 people, it's a lot lower, but the drug-free coalition, this was exactly what we submitted to the state. So we want to try to find the agencies that have programs that will fit in to help us meet our whole statements. Okay. There's the budget. Yeah.
budgets. I'm assuming since everybody in here, or most people have written a SMART goal, most people probably have to do a budget. Our budget template is pretty easy, or at least I think it's pretty easy, but if you guys have questions on it, please let us know. So your total project amount, which you're gonna put this in on your application as well, would be like, let's say, for instance, I'm gonna pick on Sherry, because that it's just an easy one to pick. So let's just say the living room cost $2 million, okay, for the entire project. But what Sherry's really needing is just like books and supplies for one little part of the living room that costs $12,000. So her total project is going to be the $2 million. But what she's going to request from us is the $12,000 or the $20,000 for books and supplies. So your total project amount will go here, but what you're requesting from Drug Free Coalition is going to go in this box. Your categories are personnel, supplies, equipment, and contracts. Personnel is your salaries and your benefits that go along. So don't forget about benefits when you're doing salaries. Sometimes people forget about those fringe benefits. Don't forget about including your benefits in there. Supplies would be anything under $500. So your pens and paper and markers or whatever you need to make sure your program is able to run. The equipment is the one we're really gonna, come down hard on. Anything over $500, we need quotes for that stuff. I think we're also holding back checks on equipment, correct? Yeah, so if you're asking for equipment, we're gonna hold back your check until we know that you're buying it. Any questions on that part?
So the other one I want to point out too is that it's asking for the source of funding, so that if you're not asking for the total amount from the Drug Free Coalition.
So to pick on Sherry again, like personnel, if she put like $1 million coming from DMHA, right? So she already knows she has her salaries covered and she already knows what grant that's coming out of. So if you already have your personnel covered and you're not asking anything, you just put the total cost where it's coming from. But if you have personnel and you are needing some of that from Drug Free Coalition, that's where it's gonna go in this box, in this funding amount from DFC. Okay? So anytime you have anything over here that you're not bringing from here, you're gonna have to have source of other funding. So we're gonna wanna know where that's coming from. Because if you're getting, because we have a bunch of different grants now that work, right? You've got opioid settlement money, you have United Way money, you have DMHA money, you have money coming from everywhere. So we need to make sure that we're not hitting the same pot with the same programs. So, equipment, quotes. And these checks won't go out to you until you buy that equipment. We have that receipt in hand, or you can give us like, hey, we're purchasing this, we'll give you the check so you can get that purchased. But contracts, pretty easy. Anything like, let's say you don't have an office and you need to rent Matchbox for some free, that's a contract, right? Marketing, that's a contract. Like, say you needed to do marketing with the radio station. Any questions on budgets? I know the equipment thing's different this year. There's only a few people that's gonna, that's like, so.
When you say you're holding funds on the equipment, you mean until it's been purchased?
Right. Right. Or like she said, if you have to order it.
If you have to order it, like that purchase order, that's fine, because sometimes you have to, you have that purchase order and you have to pay for it in 30 days. We just want to make sure that the equipment that you gave quotes for is what's being purchased, and this is the way to do
You
it.
didn't change your mind and decide to go have a party or something at Jimmy John's, and that's what you were gonna purchase instead of the equipment. Okay. I think, yeah,
Are you there, Mother?
you're more than welcome to do that part. Yeah. You're good. It's not even 2:30.
No, I know.
Oh, okay, so this was one that got thrown in by Nicole last year, but she's not here this year to present, so I get to try to go through it. So basically, we want to have evidence-based programs. Everybody understands what that is. You don't have to be, it's not requirement to be an evidence-based program, but we do want to have some kind of evaluation where you're showing, and that's what the SMART goals are going to show for you. They're going to show you what your evidence is providing for us. Because when we report back to the state, they want to see some of that evidence of what's being improved in our county. So characteristics of evidence-based programs, you can pretty much read this. It's been tested in the population for effects and outcomes. And this is more, you want to concentrate on Tippecanoe County. So the programs have been tested by other populations, but they might not have worked well in Tippecanoe County. So if you've got documentation that shows that it works well in Tippecanoe County, try to put that in your narrative of your application so that we know where your line of thinking is.
Make sure you cite those. That's a lot of what this was. There are some people that a couple of years ago put in some applications and didn't cite their stuff, and we spent like hours trying to figure out where they came up with stuff. So it's just when people are grading them, We don't want them having to spend hours trying to figure out where you came up with that it was evidence-based. Just put it in there for us so that that's something that we can easily check.
So a non-evidence-based thing would be a new program that's never been implemented, but you feel like it's going to work in Tippecanoe County. Just document how you feel it's going to work and how it's going to improve it, and meet one of our statements and our goals. The program is created in response to needs that people have come to you and said, we really could see this kind of program happening. So we just need that in the narrative so it's plain and simple to the rest of us. So writing the narratives, again, we encourage you to write this in some other type of format instead of in the online application so that you can check for spelling errors and documents and stuff. And you can have other people actually read it as well too, because the key is you want more people to review it and read it for you. And so you can, while other people are reading that, you can work on the other pieces of the grant that you need to work on, the letters of support. Your budget is a separate Excel spreadsheet that you're going to upload into the system as well too. And so those are pieces of the grant that you can work on while the other people are reviewing your narrative about it. And think about how, if somebody's never understood what you were doing, if you gave them that narrative, would they be able to understand what you're trying to get accomplished in your program? We have a little snippet before the program, and this is the part that you want to write last, is the 100 words or less that present your project. And that's going to be our little advertising for you. And we're going to refer back to that quite a few times in any of reporting that we send to the state. So that's why you want to try to keep it compact. Just a couple of sentences in 100 words or less.
Are you saying there's a separate thing? Narrative one.
Yes. Correct. And you'll see that on the application. I meant to give you guys a copy of the application. I'll email that to you. So you have a Word document that you can work in with all the questions on there. If it is a continuous application, so we like to pick on Sherry because, you know, she's good about that. So the living room, if they're going after another application this year for expanding or whatever it is they're doing, it's a continuing application. So if you've asked for money from the DFC before in the past and have been awarded, we want you to explain those evidences that you had in your previous year, how it's going to continue at a better rate or more people or different people, and what the changes are going to be made. So read it out loud to yourself, make sure it flows. This is the narrative. Do spell check and grammar check and have as many people as you can read it. It's good for people outside of your agency to read it to see if they can repeat back to you. This is what that program is going to do for you or do for the community, and then rewrite it as many times as you need to. So just real quickly, common mistakes is answering the questions. Just when you read those applications, that application, just look at the question a couple times to make sure you're answering exactly what. If it doesn't make sense to you, email Rebecca or myself, and we'll try to get right back to you. Actually, every time you email us, I always send it on to Diff too, so that he can, because he's got a different viewpoint on things. So answer all the questions. Make sure you filled in all the blanks and answer the question in the order as they appear on the RFA. That helps you continue to flow, except for that one little 100 word one. You're going to go back to that one and answer that one last. If you have multiple programs, you want to have multiple programs, you're going to have multiple applications.
Same long.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I think so. I'm going to have to double check on that, to be honest with you, though. I assume that it's not going to have a problem with it. I will double check on that, right, Jeff?
Yeah.
And the Qualtrics, it worked okay that way, using the same email and everything. So we'll have to double check on that, though. But that's more of it gets confusing to the people that review it. And that's why we want to have it separate applications. The target population, you want to make sure you clearly identify what the target population you're trying to assist and have as much descriptive data as you can, and make sure you're targeting the Tippecanoe County residents. You can help those in the donut counties, but we're a Tippecanoe County based grant. So we want to do that for sure. Write your proposal. I can't say that enough into Google or Word docs, and then you can copy and paste it. Oh, I put Qualtrics. I need to change that. Make sure you click on that save button. That's something new this year. Do not exceed in your summary statement 100 words. And like I said, it's going to be used quite a few times in ICDI, and you're going to read everything and write that one part last. Ask someone else to read it from work. I've said that a million times. Give the RFA to them and ask them to compare it to you for you. That it hits all of their statements and goals in this part. And ask them if the narrative tells a story for them. So real quickly, I think everybody's aware of how the review process goes. We have the DFC members that are on this committee. They're divided up into 3 categories, and they don't review their own applications if they have an application submitted. They get a score sheet that they'll take your application to review it, and they get a rubrics to decide how to score it properly. The groups makes their suggestions on how the proposal scored their group. And then the narratives and SMART goals are weighted a little bit more than just like the budget and fill in the blank type things. So the agencies get invited back in January of 2025 to get an interview if they scored high enough. So I know there's something going on every month. So the October is the month you get to write it. November is the month you turn it in. Then December, the committee reviews it. And then January is the interview. And then February is when, and that's what this one, I knew I was ahead of myself. February is when the whole committee presents it to the Drug-Free Coalition for them to vote on and approve. All of that is based on if the state approves our CCP, because we have to submit this in March. So we're actually a month ahead of knowing for sure if this is what the state's going to submit. Yes.
Where's the rubric come from?
It's one that our committee has developed. Would you like to see it?
Well, I'm gonna say, are we gonna do that?
Sure, sure. Yeah, it's pretty simple. It looks like this. This was the opioid settlement one. And it is basically, it has it broken down by the categories, and you can read it. I'll send it to you. Well, when we email you guys with all the other information, you'll have that document as well too. Okay, and so then again, remember that the dates for the grant start April 1st, and through March of 2026. They are 1 year long. And you have to report quarterly. I don't know if I didn't really talk about that part of it. So basically follow the instructions, be explicit, detail the budget, and prove your solid justification and quotes if you need equipment. Review your application plenty of times, and there's that deal. Okay.
Yeah, so if you do get, if you do get awarded, there are quarterly reports that you have to make. Most people are used to that, even if they're quarterly reports, these are quarterly, so they're very easy reports, they're not hard to fill out.
Right, Amy? These are new ones this year, right? And you just had to submit it, right? Sherry, was it hard? Yeah,
For so many.
I know. Yes, there are.
Unless, I think that easier.
So,
That's what then we can just copy and paste this.
yeah, especially if it's the same as the first time. So, does anybody have any questions? I need to go back in any. Yes,
So, the letters of support, is that when we as an organization will apply for the grant? Or are we going to work in conjunction with other organizations to achieve that same goal? Or if we're utilizing other organizations to, basically host the event?
it could be either or. I did want to bring up, because we talked about this, is that if you have a program that you know another agency is doing, which we talked about that in the Drug-Free Coalition meeting, is that you want to make sure why does the community need two of the same program. So, but that one you wouldn't need a letter of support from the other group that's doing it. But if Recovery Cafe was hosting your program, you would want a letter of support from Recovery Cafe saying, yes, we're letting you have the facility for X number of times a month or whatever.
Pretty basic.
Yeah. If West, Right.
Your program in community corrections, you want a letter from.
if you talk about it in the narrative, let's think of it that way. If you talk about it in the narrative using some other agency or partnering with someone, you definitely want a lot of support from them. So we don't say, well, do they know? You know, does United Way know that you're going to be using them for? That's a good question, especially if there's a United Way person on the board of grading that. She didn't know anything about it. Okay. Well, if there are any questions, Rebecca and I can answer them hopefully and get back to you in a short period of time. And hopefully we're looking at $180,000 to split among the 4 ways. Is the way the state tells us we have to, but typically what happens is we look at the administration part, which is supposed to get 25%. We usually don't take 25%. And so that way we can put more money back into the county agencies that need funding. So, and there might be some funds that might not get spent this year, the 24-25 cycle. So if any of those funds get returned, then they'll be thrown back into the pot too. So that's what we're looking at. Okay. Don't have any questions?
I got one answer back from IT saying that the form center does not support having multiple individuals filling out the same form simultaneously.
So you'd have to come,
Do that on your Word document and have one person submit.
that's a good idea. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, that was quick. I'm so glad you guys all came. You get extra bonus points, right? Yes.
So, just looking at problem statement and goals.
Yeah.
Mostly for the criminal justice activities, something you want us to be for any of those goals. I'm looking over the goals. We can fit in problem statements,
Right.
but the goals are going to be challenging. for
That would be
any-
challenging for you guys. Well, I think that you're just gonna have to be creative and come up with a way that, you know. Well, you know, that's what I'm saying. You're not gonna find the 500 people. That's the Drug Free Coalition. Over the year, we're gonna get 500 new people there. I'll have to think about that. We'll have to talk to Rebecca because, you know, our executive committee is the one that came up with this.
I didn't know what these.
No.
What's on the website.
Right, I must have missed this.
Rebecca did most of this.
Yeah.
Because she talked to the state and the state guided her through it. So, and she looked at other counties and what they were putting in. And most of the time, our statements are only one sentence and we're done. And she elaborated a lot more on it this year.
Clarify, so we need to have one problem statement and one goal at the very least.
At the minimum.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, you could do more. But you need to follow this guideline for sure. I don't know. We're gonna have to figure out how.
We can probably get pretty creative with that. That's fine. We'll be able to get creative.
Fire, you know what you want.
There you go.
Creativity and
He might have to refigure his.
Okay. He's got to come up with another program. Okay. We're here to help if there's any questions. Thanks so much for coming. I appreciate your time. And we will send you an email with all that document and paperwork.